As a new manager, your first week on the job is a week of learning. Nobody expects anything from you or any output. Use it to your advantage so that you can get ahead of the game where 60% of new managers are going to fail within the first 18 months. In this video, I'm going to share with you my blueprint on how I succeeded in 6 different positions within 5 different industries. And this blueprint has never failed me yet. My name is Blash. Let's go. The key to your success during your first week are consistency and adaptability because you don't know what you're getting yourself into, specifically within the following 2 areas. First one is the onboarding, which gave me legitimately zero onboarding. It just told me, hey, here's your team. Go ahead, do whatever you want. We don't care. And then I had the other extreme where legitimately for the first week, almost every hour was set for me. What did I have to do? And in being flexible here, we need to know when can we bend the rules or what we need to do in order for us to succeed. Other variable here is your boss. You never know, and I never knew how involved my boss is going to be on my onboarding. The boss maybe want one-on-ones every single day or just check in on me once. And I've had it happen that my boss didn't even care or the person was leaving when I was actually going in. So I really don't care what you do. Leave me alone. I'm out of here. See you. Bye bye. And this is where the flexibility and adaptability comes in. Now, I've already talked about day number 1, which is going to be somewhere here, what you need to do. But I'm just going to recap really fast. So the key task for day number 1 is to start with your onboarding. You want to get your tasks, responsibilities, and the organizational chart, whether from your boss or from HR. You need to get that. Then, ideally, you're going to meet your whole team and already start with your one-on-one if you can on that day. And the last thing is you're going to meet your boss and then have time to reflect on what was happening. Now, let's go to the overall first week, what we need to accomplish and what you need to accomplish in order for the first week to be successful. So, my successful first week is that I have one-on-ones with all of my direct reports. None of them are. I don't miss any of them. All of them are super important. Then I try and go and do a deep dive with my direct report. That will be at least 2 or 3 hours per department or per individual contributor, depending on the level of seniority that you're there. Now, in most cases, I've had between 3 to 5 direct reports who were then managers, or I had up to, I think at one point I had 6 individual contributors. So I tried and allocate time for all of them. But if you may imagine, there's not enough time in the first week. So at least I try to do at least 1 or 2 deep dives with my direct report. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to see what departments or what processes and tasks are the most critical ones. And then I am going to go to those direct reports because those are probably going to be the ones that are going to be determining my success or failure as a new manager in that position. Now, the other thing that I will definitely try and do is if I'm in the office, I'm going to try and get to know everybody. I'm going to be chit chatting with them, grabbing some coffee. If they invite me to lunch, I will always accept. And definitely, I will get to know my peers, who are my other managers, whether they're team leads, department managers, whoever. I will try and get to know them, especially the ones that I know are going to be also determining my success or failure. So, when I was a head of operations for a food delivery company, we had, of course, several departments, but 2 most critical ones for my success were marketing and sales. We had account management and IT as well, but those 2 were the key to my success. Since depending on the way marketing used their money and depending on what restaurant sales sold, was also depending on how many orders are we going to get on a daily basis, and when are we going to have peaks and valleys, and all of that stuff. So if I was good with them, that meant that we would have been aligned and we would have been successful together. The issue is, especially if you're in operations, usually everybody else kind of faults you as a manager, director, head of operations, whatever, if stuff goes wrong. And that's especially the case usually for marketing, which a lot of people just see as voodoo. They just throw money away, right? Um, and having really good relationships with them, it means that you're going to help them and they're going to help you. And we're going to be coordinating together. This is why it's so important to not only focus on your team and to get to know your team, but also to get to your peers around you. Now, the other thing that I do during the first week, I go and deep dive on the documentation that they give. Any SOPs, any client customer journey maps, or operations processes that we have, I will go and deep dive. And the priority of them are, I'm always going to go and try and understand the overall process and then go slowly downwards. Especially, I will try to understand what the bottlenecks are, where are some points that we can improve right away, and then I will deal with the rest of them later. I pretty much always do the 80-20 rule. So 20% of my effort is going to result in 80% of my success, the Pareto rule. And it's the same thing here. I always check and look for things that I read or that I want to improve right away based on what effect do I think that they will have. And then this is a super important thing that not a lot of people do is I will take 1 hour a day to reflect. What happened? Why it happened? What have I learned? I'm going to be writing down either something like this or on a bigger piece of paper or even on my computer on what are my what am I seeing? Usually that's going to be by the end of the day, so I can also relax, kind of prime my brain to decompress during my off time, my free time. And that's going to be my overall week. Now, let's break down each individual day. So, day one, you already know it's linked somewhere here what I do as new manager. With days 2, 3, and 4, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, are pretty much the same. I will always make sure that I have at least 1 or 2 one on ones with my team members. If I can actually have all of my one on ones, let's say on Tuesday, I will have that. In the majority of cases, that's almost impossible because nobody knows what you're going to do. And in most cases, they already have their tasks. And I will at least try to have at least. Then I will want to actually have in that day one deep dive with one of my direct reports. If that's not possible, I'm going to move it to Wednesday and Thursday. But I will definitely try and get ahead of schedule. And if one of my direct reports has the time, so around 3 hours that day, to actually go with me what they're doing and what their tasks are or what their department does, I will absolutely make it happen. I will align, I will flexible enough to conform to what their schedules are because I don't want my vanity because I'm their manager. I don't want them flex their schedule around because I assume it's already at least somewhat optimized. Now, in those deep dives, we'll go deep into the tasks, any documentation they have, their reasoning, what they're doing, how they're doing it. And if they have a team, we're going to go through each individual position, who that person is, just so that I can have a little bit of an understanding of who I'm dealing with and what team members are they dealing with as well. Now then, about an hour each day, I'm going to try and meet I'm going to try and meet my coworkers. in essence, what's going to happen on Tuesday, most likely, if I haven't done that on Monday, if I had enough time, I'm definitely going to say hi to, again, each of the coworkers in the office. If I'm not in the office, I'm going to ping them on Slack or whatever communications channel that the company is using. I'm just going to introduce myself and ask them when do they have time this week so that we can just talk and hop on a call and just get to know each other for like 15. And I'm going to do this every day with different people. Make sure that I get to know all of them, or at least just so that they can see me and know who I am, so they can put the face on the name and the position of me. So that's going to be that. And then I'm going to do a documentation deep dive because I'm probably going to be tired from meeting a lot of people. And specifically, if you're an introvert like I am, talking to people for 8 hours a day, or sometimes even more, is exhausting. So I do want some me time, some quiet time. And this is where the documentation review comes. And usually I do it for 2 to 3 hours. So I can also relax, I can read, and I can understand what I've learned from my one-on-ones, from meeting my coworkers and deep diving with my direct reports, that I can kind of link it to the documentation that I'm reading. And usually what I'm going to do is if I am head of operations or plant production director or so, the one-on-ones and the deep dives that have on that day, I'm going to be aligning that documentation. I'm going to be reading that documentation for that department on that day or for the individual. So that, as I said, I can align all of that and that my brain just starts to think and it's not too overwhelmed with going through several different. And then there's another thing that when I said you need to be flexible is the meetings that I will have and that you have. You never know what kind of meetings are we going to. And one of the companies, they legitimately already included me in all of the meetings that I would have to do every week and then every month. So that was also nice. But at the beginning, it was also, I'm not going to say stupid, but unnecessary because I was just there not understanding anything. And those few hours would have been so much more valuable for me just to focus on myself and focus on my team, the documentation, and everything else. So this is where I say you always have to be flexible. But in the majority of cases, you will never have more than 1 or 2 hours of meetings per day when you're completing. And ideally, the company is going to slowly ease you in on any and all of the daily meetings. And as I said, in the end, there's 1 hour for reflection every single day. So that will bring us to Friday, so day 5. On Friday, it's a little bit different, or I at least like to make it a little bit different because it's the end of the week. People are going to be wrapping up their week. And at least for this week, for the first week, I will try and get on a team meeting with my direct report. So that if for the first time, I'm going to be meeting with everybody in the same at the time. And just we're going to be just wrapping up. I'm just going to be asking questions pretty much. Hey, how did your week go? What did you accomplish? Do you have anything to say, like anything urgent that I can help you with? Nobody expects me to do anything, but at least when I ask the question, they know that I want to get involved. And even though I have no idea what's going on, I can still coordinate and kind of connect people if they have any challenges. If they have some personal or some management challenges, I can help right away. But that's pretty much for them to ask me, at least in the first week. Then if there's nothing else, I'm gonna be focusing on my doc reviews and just meeting and chatting with my team members more in depth and not in an official environment. If there's any other one-on-ones that I have missed or that scheduling conflicts didn't allow me to do before, I'm gonna have it on Friday. But Friday I usually take as much more of a flexible time for me, where the majority of the day I'm gonna be just thinking, reflecting, and reading stuff, not bothering that many, because it is Friday after all. I don't want to overwhelm my team with my involvement, and I also don't want to overwhelm them. And then, if I start at 9 a.m., I'm gonna finish at 5 p.m. Not gonna go overboard, because my brain and myself, we need to have time to relax and not be active for 12 plus hours a day on a job that I barely started, because that is the best way to lead, is going to lead to burnout. Then we go to day 6 and 7, which are Saturday and Sunday. You don't do anything here. I don't do anything because the information overload that I've gotten from the first week is going to be so much that if I do anything on Saturday and Sunday, it's going to backfire tremendously in the future days and weeks and months. So I know you will probably have urgency to actually go and work on something, read documentation or do whatever, just so that you can prove to everybody that you know what you're doing after week one, or that you're really knowledgeable when you come in on Monday, week 2. What I advise you to do is not to do that. Because yes, you may get a little bit ahead of everybody else, but you're mortgaging your future and your future energy, your future possible burnout for what's happening today. Because this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And you may be in this position for at least a couple of years, if not more. And as managers and leaders, one thing we always need to do is to pace ourselves and make sure that we succeed in the long run so that don't become casualties of the 18-month rule where 60% of new managers fail. And then those 40% that do succeed, and I mean in quotation marks, some of them are just going by the skin of their teeth, don't know what they're doing, and they're just trying to not fail. We want to be in that elite group of 5 to 10% of new managers and then old managers and leaders who know what they're doing, who are confident, and know that they're going to succeed. Now let's go to what we want to do in month 1.